Alright, so this video is about how to clean your pickup tube. Look at that baby. Whew. Hey, you know what? If your pickup tube doesn't look like this every once in a while, you are just not busy enough. That's all I gotta say. People go, oh, well, I never let mine get like that. I clean it really good. If you got time to clean it all the time and all that stuff, then you just don't have enough work. So I'm going to show you real quick that when they get like this, it is no big deal to clean it. A lot of people think, oh my God, I got to go get a new one. There's no way I'll ever get it clean. It only takes a couple minutes. And this will save you hours and hours of time. So when you're sitting there on the job site and you're sitting there cleaning, trying to make that pickup tube like brand new every day, then you'll realize that you can let it get like this and you can clean it up real fast. And here's the way to do it. Dun dun dun! The Harbor Freight torch. You just get this sucker a little hot. I get it hot till it kind of bubbles like this. Alright, gets like that. I got guys tell me all the time, oh man, I usually never let your equipment get like that. It's like, you know, like I said, you just aren't busy enough, guy. That's all I gotta say. If your equipment doesn't get, you know, out of maintenance, then you've got too much time on your hands. So you must not have that much work. Because I have tons of work, and this is how I get my equipment cleaned when I get. Because what happens is I get my work, it all comes in, you know, in a few months of the year, and you know, in a few months of the year is when I make all my money. So, you know, the thing is, you want to make as much money as you can during that time, so you can buy yourself nice things, have a nice house, you know, and instead of charging your customers more, that seems kind of pointless, you know, charging your customer a whole bunch of money and then getting rich on one guy, mining for gold. That's what I call it. Mining for gold. That's what those guys are doing. They're mining for the gold, trying to get as much as they can out of everybody they can. Nah, you do volume, you charge a fair price, you get lots of work, and that's how you make your money. It's never on one customer or two customers. It's just doing volume. Get as much done as you can to make your money. Do a good job. People call you back. Yep, guess what? Your equipment's the last thing on the totem pole. So what happens is it gets beat up. And the main thing is get equipment that you can maintain that's not too expensive to maintain. That's why I use Titan. Over Graco. I mean, Graco's got good rigs. I'm not saying anything bad about them. Their rigs are good. But these are a lot less expensive to maintain. See, I think you guys get the point here. What I'm going to do is strip off everything off of one side. Like this. I'll just keep running this thing. And if you get it a little bit hotter, that helps a little bit too. And then just peel the whole thing off. So I'll give you a couple minutes and we'll do this instead of having you guys watching the whole thing. I'll just do a little bit, and then I also use the same method to clean these things up. Ooh, it's hot. To clean up this guy right here, and I'll use it 2 or 3 times. But there are some key things to remember when you use it. When you do this, when you heat this up, and there's going to be some crumbs that are going to be inside the tube. Okay, so you're going to want to take it off and rinse it out really good, because if you don't, what happens is it'll be a bad day for you the next day or two. You'll suck up some of those crumbs into your pickup, which on this rig is very easy to fix. On some of them, you have to unbolt it, like some of the old Gracos you had to unbolt. This one here, you just actually grab this clamp right here. Grab that clamp right there, slide this hose off, take it off, go clean it out really good. Clean up in here where the ball and seat is. That's usually your bad area. I'm actually going to rebuild this rig here too. I'll probably make a little quick video on that. It's not hard to do. And show you guys how to do that. That's how easy it is. And yeah, I'll go ahead and finish this up a little bit more, and then we'll take a look at it. Alright, so let's take a look here. I'm working my way down. Down to the end here. Almost to the end. And it's hard to do with one hand, guys, so if I had 2 hands, I can just rip this right off of here. like I've been doing. All right. So just scrape that guy off like that, all the way down. And we'll take this fella off here in the end. Now this is the part that's a little bit time consuming. Well, if you use one of these torches from Harbor Freight, they really work good. I mean, these ones here get pretty hot. Now, what you have to watch out for is you don't want to burn the plastic too much. This one's plastic. Some of them are soldered on, and that's another issue you can run into. Is if you get it too hot, you can burn off the solder, and that's no good either. So I'll just let it usually kind of flame like that for a while. Turn it around. You want to get it pretty black though. You can only do this a couple times and then you got to throw these things away. They're so cheap on eBay, but you know, sometimes I put them on and you know, the guys don't clean them right, or you know, we get on jobs that we're literally in the front of a business and you can't clean your rig right there. So you got to drive out in the middle of a parking lot, clean your rig out, and because we do all the difficult parts of a store. We do all the storefronts, over the front door, or wherever the signs are. That's the hardest part of the job, and that's what we do all the time. So, you know, we can't be sitting there. Let's be careful. It's pretty hot there. We can't be sitting there cleaning up our spray rig in the front of the store, and sometimes we can't even clean up out back. So, you know, it just there's just times we just can't get our equipment very clean. So that's how it ends up. You know, you say maybe after you have a house, you can clean up every day and get it really clean. But if you're doing that, you know what happens? You're missing man hours. You know, so when that season's on, especially you guys back east and stuff like that, where you've got the you know seasons, you can only work you know part of the year. So you better do more work and clean your equipment when you don't have work. You know, that's what you really do. That's what a good painter does. That's, you know, that's busy. So it gets like this, okay, and it's kind of charcoal. And then what I'll do is I'll bang it with my wire brush a little bit, take it over and rinse it off, and usually it cleans it out pretty clean. Let's take a look a little bit further along here. So sometimes using a sharp knife is the way to go to. It really is the way to go. I just was using the putty knife to appease you guys. I usually use this guy right here. You know, if you're a painter, well, this is actually a real Victorinox, okay? It's not a fakie. But if you're a painter, you should have one of these in your pocket too. It's so handy. You know, a lot of guys, I pulled this thing out, I was on a job, and this guy whips out a switchblade. You know, he gets out his knife, pow, you know, he opens it up. And I said, hey, and I said, no, I have a knife. And I get out my knife, and he goes, and he says to me, he says, this was in South Carolina when we were working over there. I go all over this country. So I was in South Carolina, and I pulled out my knife. I said, no, I can take that banner off for you. He goes, that's not a knife. He says, that's for opening wine. And I said, well, we were all laughing. But I said, well, you know, I guess you're right. But it's got a little of everything on here. It's got some scissors and all that. But one of these things is really good to cut this off. You don't need to use much heat when you get it to this point. You can usually just use a sharp knife and just start cutting it right off, and all that paint comes right off of there. All right, so a little bit of scraping with this guy, and it just comes off. Everything else came off. Once you get that first little bit off, and then that heat is on there, kind of rubberizes the paint. Ooh, still hot. And takes it right off. Get a bit of a mess going, but hey, that's what happens. So during your winters, you can be cleaning up your equipment like this. If you can make it all the way through in your basement, you guys back east. And I'll give that a little more heat up there. You see if this thing here is ready. I'm gonna go give this thing a hose. So right from here where it's charcoal, see if I get it to focus here. It's even with a Samsung, it still doesn't want to focus sometimes. Maybe it's because it got something on it. Let's see. Yeah, it's still not focusing. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this off out there. I'm just gonna, at this point, what I'll do is I'll just take a hose. It's kind of charcoal right here. Okay, you want to heat it up to that point where it's charcoal, where you can kind of see these things starting to get red. But you don't want to heat up around the sides. So I don't even heat up around here. I'll just heat up this portion and clean off the bottom of it and let it get a couple more uses out of it. And like the inside of it, you got to make sure everything's, all the little crumbs and stuff are all out of there really good. Rinse it out really, really good. Make sure you got all the loose stuff off of here off, because you don't want to suck that back up in your rig, because it'll just make a little trouble for you. What it'll do is it'll suck up into that pickup, and you'll have to clean that ball and seat a little bit. And just by what I showed you, just taking the hose off and cleaning it out real quick. But if you have a Graco rig, you're gonna have fun doing that because it's bolted on. So all I did, I don't know if this thing's gonna focus or not. It's really not in the mood. But all I did here, let me see if I can tap on that area. Maybe it'll do it. Alright, so all I did here was just simply rinse it. I didn't use a wire brush at all, and you see pretty much everything is gone. It's just water in those little spots there. It's perfectly clear. And I just double check in here, make sure there's no loose stuff, no crumbs gonna come up and suck up in there and give me a bad day. And then I'll just go ahead and rerun this and get another use out of them. Like I said, I've had my guys go and put them on, and then, you know, they don't clean it, or, you know, something happens, it gets dropped down in this thing here, and there's a little bit of paint in there, and, you know, before you know it, it's completely, you know, plugged up. I'll rinse all this out, because I'm actually going to rebuild this rig right here. He told me it was leaking, so it's leaking right here in the front. Paint was coming out of here, he said, pretty good. So, but that piston and rod, easy fix. A lot of that done in 15 or 20 minutes. And I may not do that tonight, but I'll be showing you guys that video in the future here. Talk to you in the next video.